it never ceases to shock me, actually, in the way that most people interact with each other, often how negative it is. And we wonder why there's a crisis of confidence, why people are angry.
People are scared to fail massively. You're getting lots of adults who are hitting that point where they're either burnt out or they have the breakdown of some sort, and that forces them to change.
If that happens, it's not too late, is it, for people?
No, it's not. Also, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things, is not beating ourselves up about it.
When people are not wanting to change, you can't force them to change.
We can overcomplicate things as humans and convince ourselves why we can't do something.
You are allowed to change because you are anyway. It's just how much you want to take charge of that evolution, because it's happening anyway.
You can achieve things at any age. Trust me, I'm always changing. Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel and the Live, Love, Learn podcast. So I've got a great new guest for you today. DJ Hamilton is a sports coach, a life coach, and he calls himself Next Level Coach, and he really is Next Level Coach. I think this discussion is for each and every one of us who want to look at practical tips of how we upgrade our life, our mindset. Mindset's such an overused word, really. It encompasses so many different areas, but what can we actually do to recognize if we're off course, if we're not where we want to be? And more importantly, what can we do to get back on track? You're going to love DJ. He's full of such good wisdom. He works with all ages, from really young children to people even as old as me. So sit back and enjoy this wonderful chat. And all the details of how to connect with DJ will be, as usual, in the show notes or the description below. Please do let us know your thoughts and what bits of wisdom have really appealed to you. Thank you. Right, welcome back to the Live, Love, Learn podcast, and I am really happy to have a new guest for you today. Now, I have known our guest, DJ Hamilton, for more years than I care to admit to, because DJ was my daughter's football coach a long while ago. I reckon it was probably about 16 years ago. I think she was about 6 or 7, DJ.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Just turned 22 now, so... but DJ is not just a sports coach, he's also a life coach. And today we're really going to have a discussion around mindset and how important mindset is for achieving your dreams in any area of life. So a big welcome to the podcast, DJ. How are you doing?
Thank you very much. That was a lovely little welcome. Yeah, I'm really good. Enjoying life in a good place. Learning all the time, new experiences, as you know. So yeah, it's really good.
Fantastic. And you've always got a smile on your face. Now, DJ, when you were coaching my daughter all those years back at Brighton, one of the things that really stood out about your coaching style was, one, you really knew how to get the best out of children. And also the parents, you knew how to get them to behave as well, which is no mean thing.
But a skill I'm honing every day.
Yeah, learning every day. But how did you make the transition from sports coach into life coach? And I know you combine the two quite successfully now. So talk us through how that journey worked out.
Yeah, do you know what? It was really interesting. So as a young person, I knew from the age of 6 that I wanted to be a professional footballer. And for some reason, I knew that I might need a backup plan. And due to various things that had happened and that I had seen as a kid, I was aware that I was Black and that I might need to approach life a little bit differently, because I had come across some negative connotations even at 6 years old. So my backup plan was to be a lawyer. And that took me to university, because at 19 years old, I wasn't a professional footballer. So I was on plan B. And while I was doing that, my dad said to me that I should do my coaching badges, because I was playing semi-professional football. And so I did that with the idea that it would help me to be a better footballer. Anyway, from the very first coaching course I did, serious one, so you do your level 1, which is just anyone does that, and introduction. I did my level 2, and I believe the lady's name was Julie Tobin. She was the assessor. And she came up to me after and said, "You've got a really good way about you with this. Like, I think you should do a bit more." And she fast-tracked me to my UEFA B course. And I was like, okay, well, that sounds good. And then I got a bad injury, ruptured my ACL and messed it up. Was out for nearly 3 years altogether. And in that time, I was like, what am I going to do? And so started putting more energy into the coaching, which is when I came across yourself. And yeah, and it kind of went from there. But what actually happened while I was coaching football now, so I started working for Brighton Hove Albion, doing stuff in the community, met Michelle Lawrence in the girls sector at Brighton, and she got me involved with loads of stuff and really helped me upskill myself. And what actually happened is I then started working for a company called, actually at the time, Pro Direct Academy. And while I was working for them, the phone rang one day and I answered it and spoke to this woman about her son. And we ended up talking for about 45 minutes. It was really weird. I can remember it like it was yesterday. Anyway, he came along to this course. I wasn't even there, and said, I wasn't going to be there, but I'd be at some other course. Anyway, about 3 months later, he started coming to my session. Now, I didn't really have any real engagement with the boy apart from him being in my session, but I just did what I do. And 3 months later, it was Christmas, and his mum bought me a really nice bottle of champagne. Now, from how she came across, it looked like she could afford it, whatever that looks like. So I was just kind of like, oh, nice gesture, but, she drives a nice car, blah, blah, blah. It's just something she can do. But she made the point of telling me, this isn't just a gesture. This is for what you've done for my child. And I was like, what do you mean? I hardly speak to him. He's in my session all the time. And, I make sure he's doing what he needs to do. And she said, no, you need to see his report. He speaks about you always, and how you've helped him and how you've taught him this. And he was quoting things that I was saying to him. So like, you can never give up, and you never know what's coming. So keep going. You'll get better. You'll improve over time. Try this, blah, blah, blah. Give everything a go. Look how good you did that. And he just started repeating these things in school. So she was like, wow, you've been an inspiration to my child. And as a businesswoman, she had come across what we call life coaches. So she said to me, like, you know what you are? And I was like, a man, coach? And she was like, no, you're a life coach. And I was like, what? Don't be ridiculous. I don't coach life. I just put on football sessions. She said, no, you really don't. You do something more than that. Anyway, that sparked my curiosity, and I started looking into it, and then realized my whole approach was very different to someone who just puts on a session. I was about actually trying to help the individual to get the best out of themselves, to then move forward and then actually have life skills. And I was interested in their goals and who they were as a person, rather than just pass the ball there, get it there, put it in the goal. And yeah, so when I realized that, I was like, okay, I'm not sure about this life coach title, but I like what it's about, and I like what it could do for, the people that I'm working with. And then, yeah, it went from strength to strength. I then ended up coaching people in relationships and, helping people in that space, and then in business, and yeah, working with sports people. And here we are today.
It is a real skill, and it's so important, because it never ceases to shock me, actually, in the way that most people interact with each other, often how negative it is. And we wonder why there's a crisis of confidence, why people are angry, but we'll get more into that a little bit later. But I wanted to start this off by saying you've got quite a unique perspective, because you work with children of all ages and with adults. And I wanted to ask you, what are some of the key differences you see between working with those young children, which from my perspective, they still believe that they can be anything they want to be. They've not had that bashed out of them. And then working for adults that can have a lot of negative programs in there. What differences do you see, DJ?
I think, if I'm honest, I think there's two things. Sadly, I don't think the young people have the dream. They just don't not have the dream, if that makes sense. So if you say, like, when I was young, it's like, I want to do this, I want to do that. A lot of the young people these days, they're not dreaming, they're not thinking big, but
Wow.
also haven't closed the door. So they're just kind of in a limbo. Older people, they're more stuck in their ways, they're more accepted what they think life is. But I think what is my greatest skill is, for whatever reason, which I do actually understand now after loads of different sessions and whatever, why I can do it. And that's for later or another time. But I think there's so many people who don't feel heard now. Actually, it's not as hard as you would think to reach people who are more maybe stuck in their ways, because the moment they know you're listening to them, they're already engaged. So then it's like, you've got a buy-in and they're more willing to try. Because at the end of the day, everyone wants to be happy. Everyone wants to feel a bit of purpose. And if, I haven't spoke to you for however long, and then I'm like, oh, how's Lois? And, still doing stuff with the horses. You're like, oh, you remembered that? I'm like, yeah, I was listening. So then straight away, it's like, oh, okay. So there's a bit of instant trust.
Yeah.
And that's really helpful. But yeah, obviously, the longer you've been doing what you've been doing, the harder it is to, change that skill. But a lot of the time, with the older people that I work with, by the time they get to me, they're actually wanting to change something. So that's always a good start, because when people are not wanting to change, you can't force them to change.
Absolutely. So there's a couple of things I want to pick up on there. I'm really intrigued by what you said about a lot of young people not having dreams, and that's really hits you quite hard in the heart, really, because I can remember what it's like being that age, believe it or not, and also seeing my children of that age. What do you think's changed? Where do you think that's come from?
It's a great question, and I actually ask myself it a lot.
Comes
What I actually think it is, hey.
She always, halfway through, she wants to come in and listen, but she will knock everything off the computer and disconnect us, so I have to keep her away.
To be fair, you might see Clark. He looks like a panther. When everyone sees him, they're like, "What is that?"
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I
he's
love that.
massive.
Yeah.
Sorry, I digress. So, yeah, what I actually think is, there's so many little things that are different that make a big impact.
Mm.
So one of the things that I think makes a difference, and there's many things, right? So we're never going to be able to cover them all. But for example, when we were younger and you wanted to talk to your friends, you had to call their house phone.
Yeah.
And so you had to engage with adults, because you ring the phone, generally the adult answers. And so you have to learn to speak to those people. But also you then got to know what different people's parents did.
Mm.
You also had to go to people's houses.
Yeah.
And you had to, engage with them at the front door. And you might see things, oh, what did your dad do? Oh, my dad's, or whatever.
Mm.
Nowadays, where young people communicate via social media and whatever, they don't get to see real lives. And they don't pick up what I call real inspirations of people that are just around them. So the coaches like me in their football club, or their teachers, become really important people. But also as well, I think where they've got, for example, social media, and they're seeing, when I was a young kid, I wanted to be a footballer so bad. I never once knew what John Barnes' house looked like, or how much money he earned. I just wanted to run down the pitch like him and score goals and celebrate. That was what I was after. Now, a 7-year-old will tell you, oh yeah, when I'm a footballer and I earn 300 grand a week and drive a blah, 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 and live in a 5-bedroom house with 8 toilets. You're like, what? That's part of your thought process. So, you have those ones who are thinking about that, but then everyone else, they're not sure, because everything seems so unattainable. But also the biggest thing, I think, is that people are scared to fail, massively scared to fail, scared to put your hand up. scared to, put yourself outside the parapet and actually see, what happens if I fall down. Like any mistake you make now lives on for a long time. That's the fear. It's obviously not all the time, but you fall over and someone's got a camera recording it and you're a meme.
Yeah. Oh, that's so true.
Yeah, and if you think in a day and age now, like my young people that I work with, say they're 13 years old, they will have like over 1,000 followers. Now they don't know 1,000 followers, but 1,000 people, but they know a few people from their school and someone from the next school and one person from the other school. And that connects them to all these people. And they are very aware that although they don't know all these people and they like when all these people like their picture, they're also watching them and they will, have you out if you fail or make a mistake. It's not even failing, is it? It's just life.
Yeah, like it's
progress.
So many good points there, and it's a real dilemma. I think it really shows why all sorts of age groups have got so many issues at the moment with their communication skills. Do you think, DJ, that okay, let's talk about adults for a minute.
Okay.
Do you think adults know what they want in life? Do you think most people do? I find when I'm working with coaching,
I mean, there are. I spend my time around people like you. So there's people like you, and we know what we're about, right? We're not chasing something, but we're in pursuit of something. We wake up every day and, there's a purpose. And if we sat around for a day, you guarantee the next day we're like, we wasted a day. We need to do something. And, yes, we need to get the balance right, but there's definitely purpose in our life. But I speak to so many people who say to me, oh, I wish I could do what you did. Or what you do, sorry. I'd love to coach. My job's so boring, but hey, you got to pay the bills. And I'm one of those people. I say, so, well, what do you want to do? What did you want to do when you was young? And they're like, oh, I wanted to play piano. Like, did you ever learn? Oh, no time for that. I'm like, go and learn.
Yeah.
You got a good job. You made some money. Like, you got a family. Now do something that you want to do. Always. I'm always encouraging people to try and have something in their life that is actually what makes their heart sing. And a lot of people, you fall into something or you find yourself in a space where you're doing something. It's not what you love, but like they say, it pays the bills, or you've got a good job, you're earning good money. It doesn't matter if it's what makes your heart sing or not, because that's the purpose, right? So I would say, yeah, there's not enough people that are doing what they love for sure. And I think it feels like a big sacrifice. But on the other end, you're getting lots of adults who are hitting that point where they're either burnt out or they have the breakdown of some sort, and that forces them to change. And I guess what we're really after is, making that decision by choice and having the courage to say, okay, I'm going to do something different. And that puts a smile on my face and going for it. I was just fortunate enough that I made that decision when I was, I think, 15, 16. I did work experience and I was doing data input, and I saw people with, kids and mortgages. Like, there's no way I'm going to be caught in an office 9 till 5 pushing buttons repetitively. Never. And I made the choice then. Thank God.
You're so right. We all get to a stage where we make that choice, and, we can make it from a point of crisis, which if that happens, it's not too late, is it, for people?
No, it's not. Also, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things, is not beating ourselves up about it. I mean, coming on to the mindset side of things. So it's really clear that you've got a really positive mindset, a real can-do mindset. What does mindset mean to you, and how important is it in both your personal life and your professional life? I just wanted to say that today's episode is sponsored by ASEA redox signaling molecules. Now, it comes in two forms, the liquid and the gel, plus there's a huge other product range for us. But why did I start taking ASEA, and why is it now an integral part of something that my whole family, both four-legged and two-legged, take every single day? plus also something that all the clients I work with, again, 4-legged and 2-legged, it's number one on my priority list. Well, part of what I do, what I'm passionate about, is understanding the challenges that are affecting each and every one of us in today's modern living. The more you know, the more sometimes you wish you didn't know, but the pollution in the air, in the water, in the food, the control of our minds, the propaganda. But one of the things that we can do is take back responsibility for our own health. Now, every single cell of our body, whether we're an animal, whether we're one of the dogs in the backgrounds or one of my plants, contain these redox signaling molecules. And cellular health and cellular communication is absolutely key, whether you want to get your body back in balance, whether you want to reverse the aging process, whether you want to address any particular challenges that you've got physically, emotionally. It all starts with healthy cells. If your liver cells are healthy, your liver's healthy. If your brain cells are healthy, your brain's healthy. But just like a mobile phone, most of us have got mobile phones that we use on a routine basis now, but that mobile phone, regardless of whether you've got the latest model, is completely useless without a signal. So what does this technology do? The gel is something that you can apply topically over particular areas of concern, whether you want your skin to look better, whether you've got a cellulite, whether you've got an area that's causing you a challenge. The liquid is something you drink each and every day to top up what should be in your cells anyway. But when our bodies are stressed, diseased, challenged, or as we age, we make less of them. So personally, I wouldn't be without it. My sleep's better, my energy levels are better, my mood's better, my mobility's better. If you want to find out more, the details are below. But I'm so grateful that this came into my life, and I'm so grateful I can share it with others. I hope you love it as much as I do. Let me know.
Oh, great question. So what does mindset mean to me? Mindset to me is the awareness that where you are now is not where you will necessarily be tomorrow. Like, that constantly is in my head. I actually just had a conversation with one of my young lads who was talking about wanting to give up. And I said to him, you have to constantly remind yourself that just because it's going bad now doesn't mean next season or even the next game it's going to go bad. And I said, last year you won 2 titles. This year we're struggling to win a game.
Yeah.
No one would think the team that won 2 titles would struggle to win a game this season. But I said, equally, the team that are struggling to win a game this season could be the team that win 2 titles next season. It's not a reflection of what's coming. All it is a reflection of what you need to learn today. And if you can take those learning points with you, then you can move on. So for me, mindset is that thing of knowing tomorrow can be better. The next moment can be better. I started playing golf in lockdown. And what fascinates me about that game, people are like, oh yeah, you're old now. I'm like, listen, I'm not old, I'm still young at heart. Is that when you're having your worst round and you can't hit the ball and you've gone in the bunker and you've gone in the tree, that's when, if you don't quit, you'll hit the hole in one, or you'll just do something spectacular out of nowhere. And I always laugh. It happened the other day when I was playing with some people, and there was a lady in the group with us, and her first couple holes were awful. The ball was going everywhere. And then she was about 30 yards out, and she was like, oh, I need this for a point. And what was beautiful, she said, I'm just going to go for it. She actually said it. She's like, I need this shot for a point, but I'm going to go for it. And she eyed it up, and I mean, it was like 100 to 1 chance. And she went for it, and it went in, and everyone cheered. Her face lit up like the sun. And it was and the rest of the day is good. It doesn't matter about anything else. The best thing that happened that day, she did it, and she was having the worst round at that point. And after that, she actually had to leave because she injured her arm, but she left with a smile going, that was a great moment. I haven't done that before. And I think, yeah, that's what mindset is. It's the constant reminder that where you are now isn't where you have to be, even in an hour's time, the next day, the next year. So that's mindset. I forgot the other question.
how important is it, this understanding, and how much do you bring your skills in bringing a positive mindset to your professional life, both with the children and with the coach?
Yeah, so this is now indoctrination. This is part of me now. Like it's a challenge I enjoy. It's I made a promise to myself that I was never gonna allow myself to be in that negative place for too long. I think you have to allow yourself to feel what you need to feel, but you can't stay there, because it is always changing. Like, genuinely, it is always changing. I'm actually about to do a post about that. And as you know, I am now a dad. And
Congratulations.
yeah, I've just heard he just woke up. My mum's looking after him now. And it's amazing, right? So he is 15 months, about to be 16 months. And in this time, obviously, a new adjustment for me, and I'm still trying to figure out how I get my gym schedule going and how I do my running, because that's the time I'm spending with him. And yeah, I'm working that out, and I'll get there. So I feel like nothing's really changed in terms of I haven't got going with the gym. I haven't got out and run. So in these goals, they're kind of standing still. Yet this little guy has changed phenomenally, even just in the last month.
Yeah.
I was looking, I was like, wow, what a reminder that while you think, and I told the conversation I was having with someone, how we all do this. You say, oh, how are you? How's things? Yeah, same old, same old. And I laughed and I said, you know what? I said that to someone yesterday. And then I saw my little boy do something I've never seen him do before. And while I was thinking same old, life was happening and this kid was changing rapidly. And it was a reminder that while we are standing still, time is moving. And when time is moving, opportunity is there and things are changing. So yeah, you have to constantly remember that. And I think if you can just say that to yourself. So I mean, I started by writing it down. I used to say it every morning. Now it's just part of who I am. So I don't have to do that no more. It just comes into my thinking. And it's always been a bit of part of me, to be fair. And that I have to give my dad a lot of credit for that. But once you know that and you understand that, then you move with it. And like I said, I wrote it down. I listened to morning motivation videos, go for a walk. I do things now in my daily life that constantly bring me back to that place, because I think you need it.
Yes.
I think you need it. And I'd much rather have a day where I feel like how I do now than where I feel like everything's going against me and I can't do nothing about it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, so true. How do you handle setbacks, both personally? So, like, you had a setback where your original dream was to be a professional footballer, and injury put paid to that. And, we know injuries are a big, big thing for all professional sports people. How do you handle setbacks, and what words of wisdom have you got for people for how they can get through those tough times?
You know what? I'm trying to think how I put this. I'll give you an example of how I handle setbacks. Me and my partner went to a Tony Robbins seminar, really big one out in West Palm Beach. And when we was coming back, it said the flight was delayed and we were going to have to go via New York, which meant we was going to miss our connection and get back later than planned. Now, we could have easily done that, but the problem was I needed to get back for a game because my boys had a semi-final on that day that we were getting back, and I was going straight to the airport in a taxi to the game, and I wasn't going to miss it. So obviously this happened, and I'm thinking, I can't let these kids down. So I said to my partner, right, I looked on the screen and I saw there was a flight going to London Gatwick, but it wasn't our flight, but there's one going. So I said to her, go and stand over there by that queue and just wait there. I'll be back. She's like, what are you doing? I was like, just wait there. And I went over to where the customer service bit was. And I don't know why I even thought this was possible. I just knew it wasn't impossible. And I went and I spoke to them and I managed to get the last two spaces that had come up in standby on the direct flight. Our baggage was on the other plane already, but somehow we got on the plane. So my view on a setback is really a test of how much you actually want something. And if I want it, then it's not a setback. It's just a way that I need to find how to maneuver to get to what I want. And I think that's what you have to do. And if you don't want to, then it's just something you don't really want. You've just always got to find a different way. Like, you know, I believe that everything happens for a reason, but we have a choice in what happens, if that makes sense. So what is it they say? It's not, you know, if you fall, it's if you get back up.
Yeah.
And if you look at all the great people that, what we call great people, people that have achieved success that people talk about, they all fell.
Yeah, absolutely. And they all had a lot of judgments, didn't they? From people who don't even know them.
And they just got up and kept going. I mean, what's the story on Walt Disney? 7 times he went bankrupt. Something along those lines. Could you imagine going to a bank asking for £1 million and getting it wrong, and then going back and asking for £1 million, and the third time, when you've got it wrong twice, going back to them and looking them in the eye and telling them, look, this is going to work, and doing that 6 more times? Now we've got Disneyland. I'm sure everyone told him he was crazy the first time he even spoke about it, more or less the 6 times it failed. But, you know, and those would be setbacks, right?
Absolutely.
Or it's just proof of how much he really wanted it. So
it's so true.
I like to approach it.
I think it's such a great thing about, you know, do you really want it? You know, are you really going all in? So when we're looking about that, about when people do or don't really want it, what are some of your tips for staying on course, staying on target?
So there's things you have to do. So that same day when I was playing golf and that lady did that incredible shot, one of the guys said to me, I want to be single figure handicap by the end of the year. And then he said, oh, but I probably won't do it. And I said, I can tell you if you're going to or not. And he said, what do you mean? I said, I can give you a good indication at least. He said, all right. So I said, how often do you play? He said, once every 2 weeks. I said, okay. How often do you train? He said he doesn't. I said, and how often do you have coaching? And he said, maybe twice a year. I said, you're not going to do it. He said, what? I said, you're not going to do it. I said, you need to play. He's a good golfer. So I said, you need to play at least once a week and train once a week. So if you do that, you've got a good chance. And then you need coaching at least every 2 to 3 months. So if you do that, that gives yourself a chance. That's the baseline. But that's because he's decent and he's not actually as far off what he thinks he is. But if he's only playing once every 2 weeks and he gets no coaching and he doesn't practice, how is it possible? Like, you know, that's like saying, I want to go to Manchester, which is north, but I'm driving south. You're not going to get there. So, you know, the first thing is you need to write it out and then test it or ask someone who might know, does this look like something that can get me to there? Also, my company is called The Next Level. And it's called that because it's about remembering, it's about the next step, it's about the journey, it's not about the end destination. If I want to lift, I don't know, X amount of weight, and at the moment, 100 kilograms, for example, and I can't lift 30, and all I'm thinking about is that big 100 over there, and I haven't even lifted 30 yet, that's just miles away. I'm never going to do it. But if I break it down and say, okay, let's start with 10, let's go 15, okay, that's going good. Can I do 20? Now I'm en route. I'm building confidence. I'm building momentum. I'm building belief. I'm telling myself that I can do what I couldn't because I started at 10 and now I'm on 30. All of a sudden, I believe it's not just something I want. I actually start to believe I can do it. So, and then I think you need inspiration. So, you know, check in on a podcast like yours or watch a motivational video, go and see people who are doing what you want to do, all of those things are really important to stay on course. But coming back to it and looking where, like, because we're really good at, there's a guy called I can see his face. This is incredible, man. Sadhu Guru.
Oh yes, yeah.
An incredible guy. And he said something on a podcast that I was listening to or watching. And he said, and I want everyone to take real good note of this, like write it down if you have to so you can remember it. He said, this nose can't smell the breath from this mouth, even though it's this close, because we are not designed to work that way. However, the person standing opposite you will be able to smell your breath from where they are, because we're outward, we're not inward. So if you want to smell your breath, it's like classic, you see it on telly, right? The girl's going to kiss the guy, or the guy's going to kiss the girl, or the girl's going to kiss the girl, or whatever it's going to be. You go and you have to smell it. That's how we work. So when you understand that, you know you have to actually look inwardly. You can't just expect it to happen, which is why we have blind spots, which is why people say, I don't do that. And everyone around them's like,
yes, yes, you do. Yeah.
It's like, what are you talking about? You just done it a second ago. And they're like, did I? Because we're not built that way. We're not designed. That's not our mechanism of how we function. We can do it, but we have to actively go, okay, what is this doing right now? And it's really easy. Literally, it's a question. So people say like, oh, how are you? Fine. Well, they don't know how they feel. Why don't they? Haven't asked themselves. So literally just say to yourself, how do I feel today? Your brain will now track and go, oh, and it will connect with your heart and say, how am I feeling? And you'll actually be able to get an answer you didn't have 2 seconds ago, just because you've changed the program. It's how it works. But I mean, they don't teach us that in school, right?
No, I know that's a subject for another podcast. So, oh, I love all this. I think it's right up my street. So the next thing I want to ask you about, DJ, is anyone who's looking to upgrade any area of their life, whatever age they are. We talk about the balance between mind, body, and spirit.
Yes.
If you're looking to have a real strong mindset and change something in your life, how important do you think it is for people to look after their physical health side of things?
Oh, massive. I think like I would actually start with the mental, but I think the mental is very closely linked to the physical, because let's be honest, how we are doing is a direct correlation of how we are doing. So, you could say you're having the time of your life, but if your body's failing you, you're not. If, you get up every morning and the first thing you feel is the pain in your knee, that's a reflection of where you're at, because you've got to carry that pain. So it is really, really important to look after ourselves. I mean, I challenge anyone to think of their best day and it not be a day that they felt good. So even if you had real bad pain, the pain was less that day, So how we feel and when our energy is good is when everything else is good. It's like when the sun comes out, isn't it? When the sun comes out, it's like, oh, we're a bit more flowy and we're
especially for those of us in the UK. We won't get onto the chemtrails because I'm not allowed to talk about those on YouTube too much. Banish them. But yeah, it's a standard joke for anyone who's not in the UK. We all get really excited.
Yeah, massively.
Changes everyone's mood immediately, doesn't it?
It really does. It really, really does. Like it's actually ridiculous how much difference it makes. But what is it doing? It's giving people that half-hour walk. Do you know what I mean? Or that motivational video. It's giving us that boost inadvertently. So, let's all go live in a hot place, eh?
Nature's wonderful. Yeah, my cats wouldn't like it too much, so I'll have to stay here. So we know about the link between the physical and the mindset side of things. In terms of fear, without getting into too many world events,
Yes.
Most people who watch the mainstream news, most people are very much in a fear mindset now. It comes from every single angle. You know, the children at school, if you don't do this, it's all fear, fear, fear driven, punishment driven. What can people do to step out of that fear mindset and take?
What do you think I'm going to tell you that I do?
I think you're going to tell you exercise.
Okay, but when in terms of that input of news,
shut it off. Just turn it off.
I don't watch it.
Nor
Like,
do I.
I stopped. I realized a long time ago. There's two things you could do. I can get up in the morning and I can choose what I give myself, or I can turn on the TV and listen to how bad the world is, and then go out there going, "Oh my God, it's horrible. Everyone's mean. We're all gonna die." Like, I'm a human. There's things like, we can't escape how ill people are getting at all ages around us. And, you're going to work and hear, "Oh, so-and-so's dad passed away." What? He was at the game yesterday. Yeah, he just killed over. Whoa. Like that stuff is scary. And it means there's two things you could do: ignore it and try and run. And you can't run from that kind of stuff. So you have to face it. You have to go and get yourself checked out. You have to try and eat the right things. You have to make some changes. Like, listen, change isn't easy for humans. We're creatures of habit. But what do you want?
Yeah.
I want to be around for this little kid. I want to see him grow old. I want to spend time with my family. I want to do things like this, see people like you grow and see all the beautiful things that are happening and have always happened. So, that's what I say. Like, I don't watch it. Unless, for example, I don't know, there's something happening in Gaza and you've got family that are there, and that's your only means of knowing if a certain area is under threat or not, for example. Apart from that, why? Like, be invested in the things you're invested in. But so I'm not saying don't pay attention to the world, pay attention, but you can find out in genuine ways rather than in the ways that are trying to give you clearly a narrative. And honestly, Catherine, I ask myself this question all the time. Has the world always been like what it is now? Or is it just because I'm older and I realize it?
Yeah.
When I was younger, I didn't feel it was like this. Like, without going into politics, etc., and who you believe in and what party you follow, which is all irrelevant to the point I'm making, you have to be able to trust what's being given to you. And when it's being delivered in a way that it was, for example, under Boris, whether you like him or not, or you're conservative or not, you can't look me straight in the eye and say, you would put this guy in the hand of your kid. Because you wouldn't.
Absolutely.
You wouldn't. Whatever you like. I mean, that's the reason the whole parties are fighting each other, etc., because you can't rely on these people. So if you can't rely on the people, then how can you rely on what they're telling you and what they're looking after, etc.? So it creates, a massive conundrum. And that's why I think it's even more important that we know who we are, or we try to find out who we are, what we're about. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to change because you are anyway. I mean, we shed cells and skin and all of this stuff all the time. We are constantly evolving and changing. It's just how much you want to take charge of that evolution, because it's happening anyway. And yeah, that's what I think you've got to do. You've got to just decide your own path, pick your own friends. Like, there's a direct correlation with what you can achieve, what you do, and the people you're around, what you read, what you listen to, how you spend your time, who you spend your time with. And everyone can control those things. And obviously, what you eat, what you put in your body.
Yeah.
Like, this is not hard. And I'm not saying go teetotal, never have a drink, never eat at McDonald's. Like, you can do everything in a small moderation, but that's what you have to do. And I'm not different. Like, I am one of these people who a cup of tea and a biscuit is something deeply ingrained in me as a relaxing thing to do. I don't smoke. I'm not a big drinker, but a cup of tea and a pack of biscuits, lovely. Now I have to go a cup of tea and 2 biscuits every couple of days.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I can easily sit down and do that, especially when I'm working away or reading something. And, you know, you just look at how much sugar that is.
Mm.
Yeah, that's not really helping me right now.
No, I love it. So much wise advice. I think I can't remember the guy's name. There was an old comedian. People can find it. If they just put on YouTube, just stop it. And, you know, he was meant to be giving psychiatric advice. And every time people went in with these horrendous problems, he'd be just stop it. Just stop it. And that's what I say to people. We can overcomplicate things as humans. We can get very in our head space and convince ourselves why we can't do something. So on that note, before we find out about how people can work with you,
Yes.
if someone's sitting here and watching it, and you know, I have a great sense of humor about things like this, and I do have a great sense for my future. I mean, my daughter, you used to, I tell you what,
Incredible person, by the way.
oh, she
You
is.
talk about mindset from
Oh,
day one. Little
absolutely
person.
incredible.
What a mindset.
Oh, she's just absolutely incredible, and been through some major setbacks.
Yeah.
And the way she handles it. So big shout out. She's my best coach. But if someone's watching this, and you know, we've got to be honest with ourselves and say, do you know what? Time to upgrade. Time to stop blaming other people
100%.
for where I'm at now. How can they work with you? Because you can now, this is the beauty. There's a lot of bad things about technology. There's some amazing things about technology. You now have the ability to work with people all over the globe.
True. Which is amazing, right?
Yeah, absolutely amazing.
I never thought that would happen. When I was a youngster, you know, and my grandparents were in Jamaica, and I'm like, I want to see my grandma. Who thought you could press a button on a little box and it'd show you the face of someone anywhere in the world? That's crazy. But yeah, so obviously I'm on Instagram, the Next Level Coach. My email's on there, so you can get me, either drop a direct message or drop me an email, and then I'll give you my number and we can talk. I have to be transparent, and I won't just work with anyone, because you have to be, I'll help anyone and I'll give anyone the initial advice, but you have to be willing to want to change. Time is finite, and I can't waste mine, and most importantly, people, you can't waste yours. So you got to be upfront and honest as best as you can, with what you're trying to achieve, what you want. It doesn't have to be anything massive. You don't have to be wanting to open a business. You might just be someone who wants to get yourself going to the gym 2 times a week, and you've never been able to do it. And yeah, we'll talk, we'll have a conversation. You know, I'll get to know you, ask you some questions, and then they can obviously decide if they feel like I'm someone they can work with, and then we'll move on from there. But if we do, you know, I don't quit. I'm sure you can tell that just coming across from here. Like, if we say we're going to do it, we're going to do it. I'm committed to that. I think every person you can help, or who can help me, is making the world a better place. And, you know, that's the world I want to live in. And now, that's the world I want my little guy to live in. So you've got to be an example of that, right?
Absolutely. I would really encourage. So as usual, regardless of what platform you're watching this on, if you're watching it on YouTube or one of the other visual platforms, the links will all be below. If you're watching it on the podcast, it will be in the show notes. So I can't recommend working with DJ enough. I really can't, because the thing is, we're at a time now where we've got so many people, so many things telling us what we can't achieve, but you can achieve things at any age. Trust me, I'm always changing. I'm never going to grow up. So, you know, go for it. Make today the time when you make that change. Be the best example. Those of us that are parents, you know, children do what we do, not what we say. And you've got to be, if you're not taking yourself seriously, you can't really expect other people to take you seriously.
And that is a huge thing, because they do what we do, not what we say.
No.
100%.
Yeah, they really do. DJ, thank you so much for your time. I have enjoyed this so much. I think
it's been too short, it's been too quick. We'll have to do it again.
We will be back. So in the comments below, if you're watching this on YouTube or Rumble, In the comments below, leave us, what would you like to hear DJ talk about next time? Thank you so much. Let us know what works for you, because when you share what works for you, you're going to help someone, even if you don't realize it. And DJ, you have a fantastic job, and I know we'll be getting you back. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. And if you feel inspired, please do share with your friends and family. My goal is to inspire as many people as I can to live their best lives, to stay curious, and to raise their consciousness and that of the collective. So to do this, I need to reach as many people as possible, and this needs your help. If you feel drawn, would you be willing to share your favorite episode with 5 different people? This helps us spread the word and also helps me encourage some exciting new guests to take part in this podcast. If you feel drawn to do that, I will be very, very grateful. All the links and discount codes where applicable for all the products that I support are on my 2 websites, CatherineEdwards.life and CatherineEdwardsAcademy.com. All of the products are personally tried and tested by me, my family, and my clients. And finally, please do press the follow or subscribe button, depending which platform you're listening on. And above all, stay curious and stay free.